Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another versus battle type of matchup. This one I'm going to be giving my opinion on who would win. We'll do a team versus who would really win between Marvel's The Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Alright, so I think this one makes sense as, of course, we've just seen the release of Guardians of the Galaxy a little bit over a week ago now, and of course, the Avengers sequel will be hitting next summer with it still kind of being, the Avengers movie is still kind of relatively new with regards to movies, and the Cap movie, all the others as well too, have been pretty incredible, so I thought this one made sense to go ahead and do. We'll place this one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because that's the one that at this point in time, based on the results of the movies, I can say that people are most familiar with versus the comic book versions of them. So, that said, first problem out of the way. Avengers have 6 characters in their cinematic team right now, and the Guardians of the Galaxy only have 5. So we have, of course, from the Guardians of the Galaxy, we have led by Starlord, we have Groot, we have Drax, we have Gamora, and we have Rocket. So we have those 5. With the Avengers, of course, our movie lineup for the first one, we had Captain America, we had the Hulk, we had Thor, Black Widow, Iron Man, and Hawkeye, putting us at 6. So, right off the bat, in terms of how this one would go down, I would take out a member of the Avengers to make it even, 5 versus 5, let's say, who would really win. So I think Hawkeye makes sense to be taken out. That will leave us with most of the prominent members of the Avengers. Not that Hawkeye isn't a prominent member, but if it comes down to between Iron Man and Hawkeye, who's a bigger character, who's more relevant, and who's more often in the, who's more front and center in the Avengers, I'm going to have to go with Iron Man and take out Hawkeye and all the rest as well too. Cap, Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, Iron Man, I think those ones are a lock. You pretty much, when you think of the Avengers, you think of them for the most part. Hawkeye is too, but he'll be the one to get kicked out, I guess, of this versus matchup. So, right off the bat, here's how I would break them down. Starlord versus Cap, Groot versus the Hulk, Drax versus Thor, Gamora versus Black Widow, and Rocket versus Iron Man. I think those are the most likely matchups. Those are the ones that make the most sense. Leader versus leader, Hulk, freak, huge monster, strength versus Groot, again, likely, or very similar in terms of style. Big, huge tree monster, a tree ant, alien tree ant. Then you have, of course, Drax versus Thor, Gamora versus Black Widow. Let's keep the females, fighting each other. That would make sense. And Rocket versus Iron Man. They both use, technology. They both use weapons. They're not physically strong in terms of themselves. They both use projectiles and guns and heavy weapons, this kind of thing. So I think that makes sense. Now, how would this one go down? Who do I think would really win? Now, I should say, just because the Avengers are more well-known, they're more they're more popular, that doesn't necessarily mean that they would win in terms of power. For example, I've done a matchup with Superman versus Dr. Manhattan and defended very well why Dr. Manhattan would absolutely smash into pieces, into non-existence, Superman, right? Just because Avengers are more well-known, Superman's more well-known, doesn't necessarily mean they should win in a who would win versus matchup against a lesser-known character like Dr. Manhattan, or in this case, Guardians of the Galaxy. So, now that we've gotten that out of the way, who's more powerful? How do I think this would play out? Well, for the first matchup, we have, of course, Starlord, Captain America. Who would win between those two? Now, Starlord does have some really interesting abilities in terms of how he fights and everything. From the movie, basically, I'll use that version to compare. He's very tricky with his gadgets. He's very, with his jetpack and stuff, and his agility, and he's very kind of crafty in terms of his skills and what he does with guns or alien whatever I guess alien space guns and all these different types of things. So how would that work against Cap? Would he be able to beat Cap with just those, with Cap having, all of his abilities that, I don't think we need to go over them, you guys know, and of course the shield. Straight off, in efforts to make this video not too long, I'm just going to say Cap, because I think, his fighting prowess, his abilities, his skills. Star-Lord's real tricky. He's real, kind of crafty, and he might be able to do a little bit against Cap. But in the end, I got to go with Cap just because of sheer skill, fighting prowess, all of his attributes, and being a stronger leader, I think, is the reason why I would have to go with Cap between those two. I think that's pretty plain to see. You could argue it, but I think that makes sense, and most people would come to that conclusion as well. So that gives 1 for the Avengers, 0 for GOTG, and going on from there, we would have Groot versus the Hulk. So Groot versus the Hulk. Who's more powerful there? Who's stronger there? Now, Groot has some pretty amazing abilities in terms of his ability to change his size, his strength, his, just even his physical form, regenerate, regrow, this kind of thing. How would he do against the Hulk? And of course, he is super strong, very durable, all these things as well, too. So he could probably give the Hulk a pretty good run for his money. But when I think of those two characters, trying to take aside how iconic, the Hulk is, still, the Hulk is kind of at this power range where only I feel like the uber powerful will be able to mess with him. So Groot is close to that range, I want to think of him as, but he's not quite at that strength level that the Hulk is at. So between those two, I would have to go with the Hulk as just smashing to limbs, smashing to tree limbs, Groot. Even if Groot's able to heal, he's able to, regenerate and everything, I don't think he'd be able to, use his abilities to restrain the Hulk or stop him. I think the Hulk would break through everything Groot would have and just smash him to pieces. Even with the regeneration ability, I still would have to go with the Hulk for this one. So that put us at 2 for the Avengers, 0 for Guardians of the Galaxy so far. Going on from there, let's do next Gamora versus Black Widow. Now, this is one, Black Widow, she's very skilled, of course, but she's on like a human level, I want to say, even though she has like peak human, form and all this kind of stuff. And but she's still kind of around that street level type of effectiveness. Gamora has, healing factor. She has... I don't really want to say super speed, but she's kind of similar, but I feel like she's at kind of a higher level in terms of enhanced abilities than Black Widow. So because of that, in this matchup, I'm going to have to go against the Avengers. I'm going to have to go with Gamora as taking out Black Widow because she has more abilities, she's more powerful, and way more durable, than Black Widow is, and would be able to beat her one way or another, even if she has to take a few shots in the process of doing so, which she probably should be able to do without much trouble. So that's 1 for Guardians of the Galaxy and, 2 for the Avengers. Going on from there, we would have Drax versus Thor. Now, this one's probably the closest out of the entire list, I want to say, because Drax is very powerful. In the comics, he's often referred to as a strength level close to the Hulk. I don't view him personally as strong as the Hulk, but he's kind of in that level, uses his knives and everything, and is incredibly durable, is very strong. Now, how would Thor match up against a character like Drax? Now, this one is more arguable, I think, out of all the list. This one is probably going to be the closest, but in the end, I would probably have to go with Thor just because of all the different abilities he has. His God of Thunder, his prowess in terms of his godlike powers. Everything that Thor has, I feel like Drax would be a good match for him, but in the end, Thor would overcome him. Thor would overpower him, I think, just due to all of his godlike powers. So I'm going to go with Thor in that one against Drax. So our final matchup would be Rocket against Iron Man, and I think that even though Rocket can use weapons and he has some great alien technology and guns and stuff, and he could probably hurt Iron Man a bit, I feel like the amount of arsenal that Iron Man comes with, just in a basic suit, not even if like in Iron Man 3 he brought his, 40 whatever armors with him, just in one suit, Mark 42 or whatever, I want to say that Iron Man, I feel like even though it's more human level, he has so many different weapons, and we've seen them in the Iron Man films and the comic books tons as well too. Just the amount of different options Iron Man has against Rocket and his durability, even if Rocket is more agile and is small and is able to escape, Iron Man has weapons that would be able to have a wide area of impact. So even if Rocket was to kind of get in some spaces that Iron Man can't reach him at or whatever, Iron Man could just blow up like everything in the close environment, and I feel like that would be enough to stop Rocket. I don't think he's the same durability as someone like Iron Man. So that'd be 4-1 for me to finish it up. You know, the rest of the Avengers would be able to defeat Gamora without much trouble. You know, probably any of them after that one-on-one would be able to beat her. And that's pretty much all I got to say for this one. So for this one and who would win matchup, I have to go with the Avengers without too much trouble. I don't think there's really anything more to say about that. I don't think it's that arguable. This one's kind of a clear-cut one for me. The Avengers would take this. The Avengers are more powerful overall, are a better team, even though they may not always fight that well together. You know, sometimes they'll fight amongst themselves, this kind of thing. But that's because they have such big characters in them and big personalities. So, who would win Guardians of the Galaxy versus the Avengers? I have to say the Avengers. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about this one and who you think would really win in this type of matchup. You know, and if you disagree with any of you know what I've gone through here in terms of my breakdown, let me know. You know, write in the comments below. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. If you think Guardians of the Galaxy would win, cool. You know, those are your thoughts. So write them in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, as always, and I'm saying peace.